Thank you, Sam, and thanks to everyone who's here. Today we're going to celebrate a major milestone for our Center City Bike Network. And it's really exciting to say that we have completed the 4 protected bike lanes that were built downtown in 2019. This is another major step to build a city of the future. A city of the future has to be a city that is safe and more connected for people that bike and walk and roll. We've got to make sure that in our climate fight, we're really doing what we need to do in the city of Seattle. And that means getting people out of cars as much as we can, particularly single occupancy vehicles. We want to connect people wherever they need to go with great transit, with options to walk and to bike. So that means jobs, schools, training, everything has to be connected. If we want to achieve our climate goals, have a safer, more vibrant city, and achieve our Vision Zero goals, the more connections, the better. Seattle had the nation's greatest drop in drive-alone commuting since 2010. Again, a great benchmark for us. We are really leading the nation on people not driving alone. But we need to keep that trend going. Since 2006, the percentage of people who bike to work has increased by 22%, while the number of people driving has decreased by 14%. That's just a remarkable thing. I'm really excited. In addition to 8th Avenue, we've completed the new bike projects in South Lake Union, Capitol Hill, and Chinatown International District. Really making these connections is the critical thing for getting more people to use bikes. People will get on their bike if they feel safe. And we know that as those safe routes are put in place, the use increases. For the first time ever, people of all ages and abilities have the safe bike connections all the way from Chinatown International District to South Lake Union and beyond. It's a great thing for people to be able to get anywhere in our city. We know we need more, but this connected infrastructure is a great first step. In 2019 alone, we invested over $14 million in 13 miles of new bike facilities. Those projects were spread throughout Seattle from Rainier Valley to Fremont. In 2020, we will invest another $16 million and deliver another 11 miles of bike safety projects. As we're rebuilding Seattle, let's build the city we want, and let's make sure that city has safe access for bikers. These projects demonstrate that we're back on track to deliver our levy commitments, and we will continue to build more bike facilities this year.
This moment today represents years of tireless advocacy by not just the people here now, but so many more. It also represents many, many hours of work behind the scenes and in our streets by SDOT staff and crews, and I want to give a huge thanks to them. Cascade Bicycle Club and Seattle Neighborhood Greenways together launched the Basic Bike Network campaign in early 2017 to reinvigorate efforts to make biking to and through downtown safe and accessible. We set an aggressive but realistic goal of completing a connected minimum grid of all ages bikeways in downtown by the end of 2019. And while there's work to do, realistically gaps remain on 4th Avenue, 12th Avenue, Bell Street, and around the new arena in Uptown. We know that a network is only as strong as its weakest link, and we'll be working with the city to fulfill their commitment to complete closing the gaps in the basic bike network, including funding and building a 2-way bikeway on 4th Avenue next year. But for today, let's celebrate this milestone that underscores what's possible when the city and the community it serves comes together with a shared vision and the will to execute.
So every bike route has a story, and we've heard a little bit about the advantages to the safety advantages. We've heard a little bit about the data, but I would like to tell a little story about the Pike Pine Corridor. This corridor has been a popular bike route for ages for people on bikes. In the morning traffic commute, even before the improvements, over 20% of the people coming down that route were people on bikes. But the route was uncomfortable and it was unsafe, and we know that paint isn't enough. So without protection from cars, a vast majority of people didn't feel comfortable biking down that route. With the new protection that went in last year, a majority of people will actually consider biking on that route, and women are considerably more likely to bike when there's protection from vehicles. That's why we set out to make the corridor more accessible to a wider cross-section of the community. I also want to talk for a second about our local volunteers at Central Seattle Greenways. They led an extensive community engagement effort on Pike and Pine Streets that resulted in a community-supported bike plan connecting downtown to Capitol Hill on that already popular route. We talked to local businesses along the corridor and hosted a community workshop to talk through trade-offs, making sure that everyone's needs and concerns were voiced, talking to people about what they value about their street and the ways that it could be improved. And changes to our street can often be controversial, but when we come together and bring everyone to the table and discuss the street space and all of our competing needs, people can talk to each other constructively, and we can build streets that work better for everyone, for the whole community and the whole neighborhood. And some people through that process who started out skeptical became some of the biggest supporters of this connection. Because more people walking, rolling, and biking in a neighborhood and down a street make it an increasingly lively, thriving neighborhood and increases support and customers for local businesses. When we hosted a celebration ride of the new bike routes downtown the end of last year, one attendee said that despite riding her bike regularly for transportation, this was the first time in 9 years that she had ridden downtown. And she was delighted to feel safe and comfortable riding on downtown streets. So I want to give a huge thank you to the mayor for your leadership in building out the pieces of the basic bike network. We look forward to working with you to finish the missing sections so that we can give people real options to get where they need to go. Thank you.
So I think we have time for a few questions.
In the conversation about the Roosevelt Rapid Ride and the bike lane in East Lake, there have been some comparisons made to 35th from people who are concerned that the city might sort of backtrack on that commitment as was done on 35th. Are you willing to make a commitment that that bike lane is definitely happening?
So not prejudging what would come out of an EIS or what the lawyers would say, we need that bike lane. We can't have a connected bike lane if people can't get from the north end to downtown Seattle, and there's only a few routes you can go on. And so East Lake is moving forward.